of APSE's Parks and Greenspaces Advisory Group, and I'll be chairing today's APSE Park seminar, which I hope that you'll find a worthwhile and engaging event.
I think it's great to see that continued support by the public generally when we do our opinion polling with Survation every year. This is the 5th year that we've done it, and it's great to see that the public trust councils, councillors and staff about 5 times more than they trust government ministers and civil servants. The public know when it comes to local place, the services they consume on a daily basis, it's you who are best placed to deliver for them. And I think that's really played out considerably over the last 12 months. You know, and I would expect next year when we do this survey for some of these figures to have risen even further with regards to that. And one of the things that always comes out every year when we do this poll is satisfaction with parks is rated as the service that the public are most satisfied with in terms of all those frontline local government services. Looking then at the next 5 years, 15% of you are expecting your budget to increase by up to 10% over that period of time. Fewer of you, only 11%, are expecting budget cuts in excess of 15%, which I think suggests that you believe that there isn't much more that can be cut significantly now. That there's the cuts that have taken place over the last number of years have really cut to the bone, and there's no more, nothing left there to cut further. My own view is that there is a need for immediate capital and revenue injection into parks and green space to help them recover. The UK moves forward, I think, on the route map towards 2050 in terms of carbon neutrality. Councils have set their own declarations to achieve carbon neutrality, net zero, much earlier than this. With action plans starting to kick in now, I think there's over 100 councils have put those action plans in place.
So as referenced, there was some work done in April last year with the Homeowners Alliance and CPRE by YouGov, and that found that 71% of adults think their local green spaces or nearby countryside could be enhanced. And the majority of these would like to see more wildlife and a variety of other plant life within their green space. So the site is protected metropolitan open land, and Thames Water was given permission to turn the depot into that it was going to be a school, and that didn't happen. So now there's a plan to turn it into East London Waterworks Park. This rather beautiful 1930s picture on the top screen shows what it could become as a place for wild swimming. I'm a big fan of wild swimming, so that's why I chose this case study. So this 5.8 hectare site into a place of wild swimming and where people can learn to live harmoniously with nature.
So we actually formed what we now call the Parks Management Forum, and we did it with no money. We had lots of enthusiasm and lots of energy about how we were going to set this up. We had lots of discussions about what our aims and defined roles were likely to be. A lot of discussion. Like I said, there was about 24, 25 of us now from across the UK talking and discussing this and debating this. And, you know, it's the kind of things that you would expect. You know, promoting well-trained, qualified, suitably experienced parks practitioners at every level. This is not just about people, you know, at my level. This is every level. You know, it's around quality and well-run parks. It's about best management principles, you know, embedding the effective role of parks and green spaces, and really one of the most important ones, lobbying.
So the Ignition Parks and Green Space User Survey ran from July to October 2020. And the aim of the survey was to gather data on how park users currently value public parks and green spaces and how they think they should be supported. And we hope to begin to use the data to start to develop the concept for a potential parks foundation. In summary, the majority of respondents were visiting parks at least once a week during July to October. Parks have played a vital role during lockdown, with 97% of people who replied felt being able to access parks and green space during COVID restrictions was of importance. 62% of respondents were visiting parks and green spaces more or much more compared to pre-COVID. Parks and green spaces are going to continue to play a key role in individuals' lives, with 92% of respondents stating that they will continue to visit parks and green spaces as frequently, even after COVID restrictions have been lifted. And it was clear that respondents felt that councils should take the lead on essential maintenance.
So onto the actual resources that we've created, the hub. The resources hub is accessible now through the Green Flag Award website. Next slide. And so if you click on this link, then you will see a bit of an introduction about the Green Flag programme, and then you'll be given options to filter and to search the database below. So again, that's around well, to search the range of different resources that I mentioned before. Yeah, and just also to say, you can just about see, I know it's slightly grayscaled, but in green, if Green Flag also welcome people to suggest any new resources that might be useful on the hub, and there's a little email link there as well, and perhaps if there's a partner organisation that that isn't currently included within the Parks and Green Space Resources hub hosted on Green Flag, you'll also find the research and collaboration portal. Coming very soon. This is a free, accessible platform to connect. It's aimed to connect researchers, policymakers, and practitioners to enable that that knowledge exchange, and to hopefully facilitate that sort of best practice management for park users and communities and other stakeholders involved in parks management.
While we're developing our Green Space asset management platform, which we've called Orchestrate, we use 3 personas. The first is John Sargent, and he is our Green Space operative. The second is Janet Hall. She is our Green Space officer. She is normally based in an office, or more recently has been working from home. The last is Sophia Taylor. She is our Green Space manager. Her role is to provide strategic direction to the department, and for this she requires both timely and accurate information. So when we're designing and developing our asset management system, we're looking to solve challenges and issues for these 3 individuals. If I start with John and his team, in our mind, they're very task-oriented. Each day, they would like to be able to turn up to the depot, find out the work that has been allocated for the day, maybe it's on a weekly basis, perform the work, and then report any issues or follow-up actions. The problem they face is that they are regularly held up in the mornings, as Janet is having to make last-minute changes to what needs to be performed. The reason for this may be numerous. There may be damage overnight caused by the weather, there may be issues reported by the public late in the evening, or there may be urgent repairs that are reported at the end of the previous day.
It's looking here at the simple things of designs of parks and what the functions are, and small changes, not forcing mums and toddlers onto the road, for example, would help. And it's taking our frontline teams again and talking to them. And if we spoke to the frontline teams before we put the play area in, and perhaps those seating area and the trim trail, they probably would have said to us that those areas are prone to flooding. And if we think about the pathways, we'd like to do a capital project across all our parks to widen pathways, so we're not forcing people onto the grass, and we're not creating conflicts between people who want to run on the path or cycle on the path or pushing their prams on the path. So it's that preventative measure, and we think in the long run that's going to create some real sustainability.
So one of the key findings in our research, we worked with the National Trust and an organisation called Vivid Economics to produce what's called the natural capital account for the city. And this is just the infographic come from what is a detailed report. But that looked at a national set of indicators that just helped to reposition the value of our green spaces and our sort of natural sort of ecosystem services in a different way. So, only sometimes by putting a monetary value onto some of these things that people start to listen to us. And actually what we found is that, in terms of carbon sequestration, our green spaces, already sort of deliver about 5,172 tonnes of sequestration in the city, which is a massive contribution to our CO2 agenda. But equally, the value of our green spaces in terms of the additional benefits that they bring to the wider city has already sort of started to demonstrate that somewhere in the region of about £510 million worth of additional sort of benefit per year is generated by living next to a quality green space that many people do in Nottingham.
I think what we're going to do is try and grasp those opportunities and make that case for parks, and then also try and help the likes of APSE make that case for funding from the government as well.